Knowing what move to make in Star Wars Shatterpoint can be quite daunting, especially when you're the first player and especially when you pull that Shatterpoint card as your first order card that you take out. But fear not, you do not need to spend that one force and put it back into the deck. Here are my top 7 picks for characters, units who can use the Shatterpoint to great effect during turn 1 of the game. Hey guys, Rich from Richmond Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Welcome back to another Star Wars Shatterpoint video. I know it's been a minute. Apologies, I have been and still am somewhat absolutely full of cold, but my last couple of weeks have just been so packed. But we are back with some more Shatterpoint content and sort of carrying on from our hints, tips and tricks video that we did previously. This time we're looking at those turn 1 plays that you can make, in particular as the first player. Now, right now for me in the game, being the first player isn't particularly great. You don't get to score any points. You potentially have to move your characters off your back points that you're already contesting. And there's just no real advantage right now in the game to being the first player. However, I am going to break down 7 characters, or 7 units, sorry, I should say, in the game right now who I think have some very strong turn 1 plays, and even to the point where if you pull the Shatterpoint card, they are definitely worth considering to use with that Shatterpoint rather than paying the force and putting it back into the deck. Just to clarify, guys, this is if you are the first player only. This isn't going to count if you are the second player, because by that point your opponent has already moved characters up the board and so on and so forth. So this is purely just being the first player. And I want to break down first of all what I think you need to do, or what is the bare minimum that you need to do with these 7 examples that I'm going to give, but also with any other characters that you choose to pull or pull out of your deck and you're taking your first turn. So for me, the absolute bare minimum that you need when you are finishing your first activation is going to be that you are controlling a bare minimum of 2 objectives. If you can get 3 objectives, that's even better. And if you can now get 3 objectives where you're at the same level as those objectives, so there's no chance that your opponent can just sort of move up and then take that one off you by being at the same elevation level, then that's even better. Now, the examples I'm going to show, I've removed all terrain from the board, and we're not actually going for any particular map setup. I'm just going to show you some opening moves that I think are really good. So obviously every support unit in the game can potentially grab themselves 2 points. So we've not focused on support units here because for me, I don't like using that Shatterpoint on support units. I prefer to use it on a primary or indeed a secondary, especially when that secondary has some tactics. So what we're looking at are characters who can get other characters around the board, provide lots of movement, and even a few cases where we're going to be able to get off some attacks right in the middle of that first turn, and some attacks that are potentially going to score you an all-important momentum right on your very first turn, probably taking your opponent by surprise a little bit. So let's jump over and let's start with number 7. So number 7, I've kind of cheated a little bit because I did get to 8, but I like the number 7. We know how important it is in Star Wars. But it's going to be a joint place between Padawan Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex. Now, these guys don't really do anything that spectacular, not when compared to the other examples that we've got in the game. But it's fair to say right now that whilst the Galactic Republic are very strong, they do lack some very good opening moves. The reason why I like both Padawan Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex is going to be for the tactic that they bring, which is Ratio on Ahsoka Tano, where she gets to choose an allied Galactic Republic primary unit or a Jedi primary unit. Right now in the game, that's exactly the same. And then one character in that unit may dash. With Captain Rex, it's a little bit different. He gets a little bit more flexibility, and he also gets a little bit extra at the back end as well. So at the start of this unit's activation, choose a character in this unit or another allied Galactic Republic character. So whereas Padawan Ahsoka is very much focused on primaries, Captain Rex can do his on any Galactic Republic character, which for me is why that one is slightly better. And for me, why Captain Rex is an absolute requirement in any Galactic Republic list. That chosen character may dash, and then they may gain a hunger token. So they're getting a little bit extra there as well. Now, with all the other examples, guys, I'm going to show you on the board how that can work, but for these two I'm not going to bother because it's fairly straightforward. There's nothing really in there that we need to go through, so let's jump straight on to number 6. So number 6 is going to be Count Dooku, the Separatist leader. Now, the reason why I think he is particularly good to activate if you pull that Shatterpoint, or indeed if you pull his card during the first turn, is going to be because of that leader of the Separatist army. Now, we're going to bring along a couple of other characters with us. So we do have Savage Opress coming along as our secondary in this unit. Very, very good under the Separatists. And we're also going to bring some Magna Guards as well. So let's jump over to the table and I'm going to show you how we can use these 3 different abilities that each of these characters have to absolutely maximize the number of points that we are taking during that first turn. So guys, we are all set up. We have got our Separatist Alliance army set up here with plenty of droids and things. We're coming up against some Galactic Republic. Now, again, you'll notice, guys, I've not flipped any of these tokens. We're not focusing in on anything like that right now. All we're doing is showing you the potential of what we can do with combining these different abilities together. So the first thing is, obviously, we've got our Separatists all lined up. We are going to be player 1. And we do pull that Shatterpoint card. Or indeed we could have pulled Dooku. Now you may be thinking, well, Dooku, not a particularly great first choice when it comes to capturing objectives, things like that. But you'll see, first of all, we always guarantee making sure that we are covering our 3 back points when we deploy. I covered this in the previous video, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. And what we want to try and do with Dooku is actually claim so that we are actually controlling 3 objectives at the end of our turn. Even though we're not scoring them, we still have the ability to claim those 3 objectives. So we're going to start out with Count Dooku, leader of the Separatist army. And the first thing that we always do, irrespective if something says at the start of an activation, so if we take a look at Unwitting Brute on Savage Opress, it says when an allied Separatist Alliance primary unit or Dathomirian primary unit starts its activation within 3 of this one character in this unit may dash. Well, actually, what happens before that is going to be leader of the Separatist army. So what we're going to do is we are going to nominate Savage Opress as being our person that we're going to move. So leader of the Separatist army. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied Separatist Alliance character within range 3. Each character in this unit and the chosen character may dash. Now, we do have a couple of options here. So what we could do is move up the Magna Guard, but the Magna Guard are actually not the ones that we're going to focus on here because we want to get Savage Opress up the board as well. So what we're going to do is, first of all, go with Count Dooku. And the way that we have to resolve these is tactics go first, then reactive abilities. So we're going to move Count Dooku, and he's going to move himself all the way up to here first. And then we're going to move Savage Opress. Now the key here is to make sure that these 2 characters remain within range 3 of each other, because if they're not within range 3, we're not going to be able to trigger the Unwitting Brute. But now that we know they are within range 3, we've done the measurements, now we get to trigger that Unwitting Brute, and we get to make another dash with Savage Opress. And as you can see, we've double moved him now up to that midpoint, and we're going to be well within range 2 to be able to capture that midpoint should it be active. Again, there's many different options, but that middle point is always going to be active irrespective of which of the maps that we choose. So now we get on to Count Dooku's turn. Now, whilst Dooku does have a ranged ability, he's not going to be able to get within range because he is only range 4 and he is on a small base. But what we're going to do is make a move action with Count Dooku. And you can see that move action is going to get us also within range 2 of here as well. Plus, we're now going to trigger on the Magna Guard's protection protocols. After an allied separatist alliance primary unit makes a move action, this unit may use this ability. Choose a character in the activating primary unit. One character in this unit may advance towards the chosen character. So when we look at towards, what we're doing is imagining a line between this character and whichever character you're going to move. Now right here is where you do have a choice to make. If this is not the active point, and this is the active point, or indeed this is the active point, then we're free to move this character. Now, why would we want to move this character? Well, this character has bodyguard, and when allied primary and secondary characters are within range 2 of this character, this unit, sorry, let me read that again. Bodyguard, allied primary characters and allied secondary characters within 2 of a character in this unit have cover 1. So what I like to do in this example is if we take a look at what towards looks like. So we've got a 90-degree arc here. So anywhere in this sort of direction, what I like to do is be a little bit cheeky. And I like to move my Magna Guard up to here like so. And what you're going to see is that both this character and this character are within range 2. So any incoming attacks, they're going to get cover 1 automatically. And remember that even if they don't have a hunger token, they're still able to use cover from units like the Magna Guard. It's just terrain where you need a hunger token. However, speaking of hunger tokens, now all we have to do, because we do have an action left with Count Dooku, is we can take cover. Now, we don't even have to move. So when you're taking cover, the push is, or the omnidirectional push is completely optional. So we're going to choose not to take it. And we are going to give him a hunger token. Now, the last thing that you want to make sure that you do with Count Dooku is take a look at which form you are in. You may have started him in Form 2 Makashi, or indeed you may have started him in Force Mastery, which is the one that I tend to start him in because it is the one with the lesser defense. So if you did start in Force Mastery, at this point, you probably want to switch over to Form 2 Makashi. And whilst he's rolling less dice, so he's rolling 1 less dice on range attacks, remember he is going to get an extra 2 dice, 1 from his hunger token and 1 from the cover from the Magna Guard as well. And as you can see here at the end of our turn, irrespective of which of these back ones are, we've got 2 characters and they're going to be able to take those 2 points, meaning that whilst we're not scoring them, we are now covering 3 of the 5 points in the game, and that is a great position to be in at the end of your first activation. Okay guys, so let's take a look at my number 5 when it comes to Shatterpoint worthy first activations. And this one is going to be KRAKEN Super Tactical Droid. Not quite as good as his counterpart, we're going to get onto that in a little bit. But what we're looking at here is the combination of both his tactic ability, do not let them escape at the start of this unit's activation. You may choose this unit or an allied battle droid supporting unit. Each character in the chosen unit may dash. And then that combination of that with tactical network. Choose another allied battle droid character within range 4. The chosen character may dash, then gain a hunger token, remove 1 condition from itself, or make a 5 dice attack. I really like KRAKEN. I don't play him too much. I've really started to enjoy putting in a couple of the other 4 threats or 4 cost even, not threats, I'm getting into MCP there, 4 cost units in the game when I'm playing Separatist Alliance. I really like Jango Fett, and I also really do like, as I mentioned, taking Savage Oppress, but KRAKEN is still really, really good and gives you huge amounts of synergy when you're taking your support units as being battle droids. So let's jump over to the table and let's take a look at what we can do with this first activation. Okay guys, so a little bit of deja vu here. We've gone back to the exact same board. Remember guys, same rules apply. We're not too concerned about which of these is active right now for these examples. We're just going to show you a couple of different ways that we can do things. So starting out then, do not let them escape. So as we mentioned at the start of this unit's activation, you may choose this unit or an allied battle droid supporting unit. Each character in the chosen unit may dash. Now, here is where you do get a couple of different options with KRAKEN, and it's going to be all around your own personal playstyle. Because he can use Do Not Let Them Escape on himself, KRAKEN is one of the very, very few characters in the game who turn 1 can actually get up the board, contest a point, and make an attack into a character, and I'll show you now how that works. So we're going to go for that middle point there. So we're going to put our dash tool down. So we're going to use that dash and we're going to move ourselves up to here. And then we're going to make an advance. Now before we make that advance, let's put our range 5 down and make sure that we do get to where we want to go. So we can see here, right at the very edge of range 5, we are going to be within range 5 to then be able to make an attack. However, I think there is a better use for him, and it's really all around that movement that he's going to be able to give us. Because for me, being able to secure 3 points during your first activation is better than being able to secure 2 and making an attack. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with our B2s. We're going to use that Do Not Let Them Escape, exactly the same as last time. And we're going to move these B2 units up to here. And this B2 character, and apologies, I interchange characters and units all the time. I'm still not used to it myself. Right, we can now see that they are up the board. Now, whatever you do next doesn't really matter too much, the order in which you do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend 1 force for a tactical network. So we're going to make a tactical network, and we're going to move these B2 units all the way up to here, securing that middle objective. And then we're going to take, and they would get a hunker token for that as well. We're then going to take cover with KRAKEN and move him up to here like so. And then we can make a long move, or a full advance should I say, up to here like so, making sure that we're within range 2, and once again controlling all of those objectives. So we have this B2 one controlling this one, this we've got Savage controlling here, Magna Guard here, and then we've got this B2 here, and then KRAKEN over there. Once again, giving us those 3 points that we really, really want when we start our first turn. So yeah, that's with this one. Let's jump over and take a look at what number 4 is. Okay guys, so at number 4, and this one may surprise some people, it is going to be Lady Bo-Katan Kryze. Now she has a couple of things that are really, really good. She's very, very good in Mandalorians, and whilst when we reviewed the Mandalorians we did say they were in desperate need of a leader, they can still do some real work on the battlefield, and in my opinion have some of the best or potentially best support units in the game right now. But we're going to be starting to take a look at the Pride of the Mandalore. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another Mandalorian character. This character may jump. Now the reason I like this is it is a jump, so you don't have to worry too much about terrain. But the thing that we're going to be using here is Mandalorians are stronger together. After this unit makes a move action, it may use this ability. If a character in this unit is within range 2 of another allied Mandalorian character, this unit immediately makes a focus action. and then we trigger that with Mandalore will survive. After this unit makes a focus action, one character in this unit may dash and double heal. Now the double heal we're not going to worry too much about because it's round 1 and we don't have to worry too much about it because nobody's going to take any damage, or turn 1 I should say. But let's jump over to the table and take a look at what I'm talking about. Okay guys, so we have all of our Mandalorians set up, and for this one you're going to want to make sure that Bo-Katan is in that forward position. So you have your 2 other Mandalorians either side of her contesting these 2 points, and then as I mentioned you want to make sure that she is as far forward as possible. So what we're going to do here is start off with that Pride of the Mandalore, and we're able to move up one of our Mandalorian units. Now, which one this will be will be determined by what are the active objectives. Obviously, if it's this one, you don't want to move this one up. If it's this one, you potentially don't want to move this one up, but you do already have another character here. So for this example, we are going to move up to here like so. So we're going to use that jetpack, and we're going to move up here like so. And then we're going to make a move, making sure that we finish our movement within range 2 of this other Mandalorian. So when we put the full move down here, you can see that if we move fully over in this direction here, we are going to be within range 2. Now that's going to do a couple of different things. As I mentioned, it's going to allow us to make a dash, and it's going to allow us to make a heal because we get that free focus. We're not too concerned about the heal, but we get the focus. We get to make a dash up the board like so, and we then get to use our actual final action because we've only used one action so far. Now, unlike some of the other Mandalorians, Bo-Katan is only a range 4, and as you can see, we are going to be just outside of range 4 there. So here we've got a couple of different options. Option number 1 is to use our jetpack, and using our jetpack we can go for either of these 2 points. These are the 2 points that we want to go after here, and then just making sure that we are within range 4. So we can use our jetpack, and let's say we go for this one over here. So we're going to use our jetpack. It will cost us a force, but we'll end up just here like so, within range 4 of Ahsoka Tano, and once again we're able to do an attack, and that attack is going to let us do some damage. It's potentially going to be putting a pin, or indeed we could get some shoves, and we could get a jump on there as well. So there may be a position where you get the jump and you do want to move back. So you want to move back just to take yourself out of range of these other units as well, because she is only range 4, as I mentioned, she does have to get further up the board to be able to make these attacks. Downsides of this one, guys, are we're only contesting 2 objectives. That is the big downside of this opening play, but we're able to contest 2 objectives and make an attack as well, which is why I still think it is very, very worthy of a turn 1 play, even if you get that Shatterpoint card. Okay guys, so moving on to my third favourite, but the one that I've probably used the most opening play, we're sticking with the Mandalorians. It is, of course, Gar Saxon, Merciless Commander. And once again, what we're looking here to do is combine that Pride of the Mandalore with his jetpack, and Mandalorians are stronger together. So what we're going to do here, well, let's jump over to the table and take you through the play itself. Okay guys, so we are back with our Mandalorians. This time we're taking a look at Gar Saxon, Merciless Commander. We're going to be using a similar series of things to get up the board and make that first attack. But the attack from Gar Saxon has the potential to be a little bit more devastating than the attack from Bo-Katan. So let's start off then and take you through these order of things. So we're starting off with Pride of the Mandalore. We get to move one other Mandalorian. They have to be allied, obviously, and they get to make a jump action. So we're just going to move this guy just up to here, like so. We can move this guy safely because we know that we've also got this other Mandalorian who is going to be within range 2. This one is going to be just out now because of the way that we've moved him. Then, for our first action with Gar Saxon, we're going to make a move all the way up, a full advance, making sure that we finish our advance within range 2, which, if you've done it in this way, you absolutely should be. Now, Gar Saxon doesn't trigger any additional movement from getting that free focus from Mandalorians are stronger together. However, he does get to gain a hunger token because of that focus. And because we have the focus, I've got you in my sight means that characters in this unit have Sharpshooter 2, meaning that we're not only getting one additional dice on our attack, we're actually getting a total of 3 additional dice, taking our attack from being a 6 dice attack all the way up to a 9 dice attack, which is pretty spicy to say the least. Now here is where you've got a couple of different options because he is range 5, and if we look here, we do have Rex. Now Rex does have 9 health, and Gar Saxon can actually top out at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. That's the maximum that he can do. So we're not going to be able to one-shot Gar Saxon. However, we are able to one-shot characters that only have 7 health, like those pesky 501st battle droids. 501st clone troopers. So once again, we're going to make that full movement all the way up to here. Again, making sure that we're within range 2 of this, and we're going to be able to make an attack into these 501st battle troopers. Now they only have 7 health. We're going to be rolling 9 dice, and whilst we do need a lot of successes, so we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are going to need 5 to go through. I have had this happen on numerous occasions. So yes, in this particular setup, we are only taking 2 points. That is important to say, but we do have that potential of gaining a very, very nice momentum right at the very start of our first activation. This one will catch your opponent off guard. Gar Saxon for me seems to roll incredibly well. I absolutely love this opening play. It's one that I use all of the time when I'm running this list. This is actually a list that I took to an event not long ago. Ended up going 3-1. I did lose to Quinn, but I think on 2 of those occasions I did manage to either pull Gar Saxon or that Shatterpoint card. And once again, what's nice with that is Gar Saxon does also have a strain that he can put on there as well, but he does also have a jump after 2 results. So even though he's in range now, he's very, very easily, or can very, very easily get out of the way, bring himself back here. He's got that hunger token. He may even be on a piece of terrain or something like that, keeping himself much, much safer than if he was all the way up the board. I really, really like this one, guys. As I say, I've one-shot a number of support units. You have to remember he does max out at 8 damage, so anyone with 9 or more, or anyone with 8 and protection, you're not going to be able to take down. But coming up against some of these clone troopers who are really good, you know, I love doing this against ARF troopers. Pons is a really good target. You can take out snips in a single shot, which is also not a bad thing to be able to do. So yeah, I really, really do like this one. Doesn't quite make the top spot. This may be my favourite overall, but for me doesn't take the top spot. But let's jump over and take a look at what just missed out on the top spot. Okay guys, so just missing out on the top spot for the best opening play in the game right now. This one may surprise a few people because it is going to be KALANI super tactical droid. Yes, I can hear you all screaming at me. He's super, super good. But the example I'm going to show you, whilst it doesn't affect the entire board like KALANI does, it does affect a hell of a lot of the board. But let's stick with KALANI for the moment. What are we looking at? Well, once again, it's going to be that combination of his tactic, Roger, Roger. At the start of this unit's activation, each allied battle droid supporting character within range 4 of a character unit in this unit may dash, and then that tactical network. Choose another allied battle droid character within range 4, the chosen character may dash, then gain a hunker, remove one condition from itself, or make a 5 dice attack. I've loved KALANI since the release of the core box. Is one of the reasons that Separatists are so good in this game right now. But let's jump over to the table and take a look at what we're talking about. Okay guys, so here we are. We have our 2 squads, our full strike team set up. We've got some B2s, we've got some B1s, we've got a KRAKEN, and we've got a KALANI. Now what are we looking at with this one? Well, as I mentioned, it's going to be that Roger Roger that makes him so powerful, allowing every other battle droid supporting character to make a dash. So when you're deploying this, and we did go through this in the previous video, go check that out if you haven't. We want to make sure that all of our support units are going to be within range 4 of KALANI, and then they can all make a dash up the board. So starting off, let's move these B2 units just up to here like so. Let's move these B2 units up here. Let's also then move these B1 units, making sure that we are staying within range, especially if that is going to be the active objective. And then once again, moving these units up here like so. Now from here, we've got a couple of things that we want to do. And again, we do have the option to move either of these units because we do have a tactical network as well. That's what's going to get us our 3rd point. And once again, it's going to be dependent on which side of the board it's on. One of the reasons that Roger Roger and tactical network for KALANI is so good is that it really doesn't matter which of these. If we take a look and a short move or a dash with either of these characters, if I move these to here, you see they're going to be within range 2 of that point there. Once again, you know, we can even move these ones that are further back and they're going to be within range 2 there as well. So we know that the middle objective is always going to be active. Now, there is a risk with this. We are moving KALANI up the board. That is the risk with this move because he is quite exposed. He only has, whilst he's got 10 health, his defense dice are not particularly good, especially against ranged and, well, actually against both. They're just not particularly good. But what we're going to do is we're going to move KALANI up the board here. Now, from here, you'll see that we're not quite within range 2. So we're going to have to take that hunker. Now what you can do, if I just move him back a moment, what you can do, and actually what I prefer to do, and this is just a little tip here, let's just redeploy KALANI exactly where he was. If you know that you're going to take a move and a take cover, if possible, always use the take cover first. And I'll show you the reason why that is. So we're going to take cover here, which will give him a hunker token. Now, again, you have the choice. You can spend that 1 force now and use that tactical network. Everyone's within range 4 still. And let's say that it was this one here. So we're going to spend that force. We're going to move these B1s up to here. Now, again, if this was active, we would move these ones and not these ones, but just move these ones up to here like so. And now we're going to make our move. And the reason why I said it's better to use the take cover first is I can now use this tool to make sure I end within range 2 and I'm not having to go too far forward. So I can make this move. Let's just put it all the way on there and I can end it just as far back as possible. Now again, if these were Magna Guards, for example, you can make sure that you're within range 2 of them, so you're getting that extra cover from them. But we do now have a hunker token as well. Once again, we're going to be taking 3 points, which for me is always very, very good. It's a great position to be in. So we're going to have any one of these 3 here. So let's say it's, you know, it's like this. So we're going to take this one here, this middle one, and we're going to be getting that opposite objective there as well. Lots and lots of flexibility with this one. For me, this works even better as a turn 2. So if you're the second player, and the reason for that is, you know, you're often able to get attacks off as well as being able to control these points. I played a game the other day and it was a little bit brutal, to say the least. I had double activation KALANI. I Shatterpointed him first, then I picked his card out. I think by the end of my second turn, the 2 of their units were already wiped out and I was controlling 4 of the points, which is not a bad position to be in whatsoever. But let's go and take a look at what I think is the best opening gambit or the opening play in the game right now. Okay guys, so we are here, we are ready for my favourite opening play in the game right now if you are the first player. And again, I did mention I think this one may catch people off guard a little bit, but it is going to be General Grievous. Big shout out to Quinn. He sort of showed me the potential of this one and I've kind of modified it and added my own little bits in there. But we're going to be using so many of his things that he's got on there. So we've got Onward, we've got Scuttle, we've got Appetite for Destruction, which is going to really, really help us as well. But let's jump over to the board itself and we'll show you why I think this is even better than the opening play that we can do with KALANI. Okay guys, so we've got our separatists set up. We've got Grievous over here, we've got a couple of B2 units, we do have KRAKEN, we've got Savage Opress, Dooku, and then a couple of Magna Guard. And guys, we're actually going to be affecting quite a few different characters in this game. I'm going to show you now how we do it. So first thing I want to mention is you should be starting off Grievous in his quad arm attack. Why is that? Well, if you don't pull him or you don't pull a Shatterpoint first, or maybe you're not the first player and your opponent has moved forward, you do have the ability to make a melee attack and you always want to be able to finish in your Cunning Warlord, so you do have better defense. So the first thing we're going to do is going to switch from quad arm attack and we're going to go to Cunning Warlord. But before we do that, we do have Onward to take a look at. At the start of this unit's activation, choose another allied battle droid character within range 4. The chosen character may dash. So we are going to take a look at this B2 unit here. This B2 unit is going to make a beeline over here for this middle point, because that's the point that we're going to be going for. However, that is not the only thing that triggers, because Unwitting Brute, Savage Opress, with an allied separatist primary unit or an allied Dathomirian primary unit starts its activation within range 3 of this unit, one character in this unit may dash. And we have deployed these guys in such a way that they are indeed within range 3 of each other. So another character that we are going to be able to get up the board and start having an impact for, not quite for free, but almost for free. So from here then, we are going to spend a force and we are going to use Scuttle. Now this does give us scale, which means that we can use dash actions to climb as well. But as I mentioned, we've got no terrain out here as well, so it's not too much of a concern for us. So we're going to use that Scuttle and we're going to take ourselves forward just here like so. Now the next thing we want to do is make a move action, but there are 2 measurements that we want to make sure work for us. We want to end up within range 5 of Rex, but we also want to make sure that we end up within range 3 of our B2 units. This is much, much easier if you have big base characters. So it could be B1s, it could be B2s, whichever it is. Now we do have a full move. So if we did take that full move, and let's just say we moved ourselves up over to here like so, it would give us that flexibility to be able to target units at the back. But it may just leave us outside. Do you know what, guys? It has not left us outside. So we're actually able to get within range of those lesser units, giving us much better chance of being able to take them out. But we have not finished here with the movement, because we have got protection protocols to trigger. So we get to move these guys towards General Grievous, because he's the one that made the movement. So you can see towards is going to let us move these guys up to here, again letting us move them at the board. It could be these ones, it could be these ones, whichever ones you want, right? There's also another consideration to take, is that you may want to make sure that you leave Savage within range 3 of Dooku as well, just so when you do get that movement at the beginning of the game, you can move him up even further. So from here then, we're in our Cunning Warlord. We get to make our 7 dice attack. We do whatever damage it is. Now we do then get to trigger Appetite for Destruction. This is why we wanted to make sure that we were within range 3. Now, there's probably a better way that we could have done this, because we actually have left ourselves a little bit open here. So let's say that we did go, let's say that we went for this unit here instead, because we want to make sure that we are within range 2 of one of these. I know this is illegal, guys, like we're not allowed 2 at the same time, but we have the movement to do it, and this is just showing you an example there. There we go. Like so Appetite for Destruction. After this unit makes a combat action, choose an allied battle droid character within range 3. The chosen character may dash. Then that character may make a 5 dice attack, targeting one of the same enemy characters within range and line of sight. So these guys get to move up. They're going to be able to move up to here. Now they're not going to be able to make the follow-up attack. Maybe they could have done if we were against Rex. There's potential there with a little bit more jiggery pokery. But you can see, guys, from one activation, we've been able to move. How many movements have we made? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movements up the board, and make an attack that is potentially going to take out an enemy. We've got repositions on there, we've got shoves on there, we've got jumps on there. So even if we are out of position slightly, we've got the potential to be able to jump over. Guys, it's really good. Really good. This for me is this for me is both maybe my second favourite. I still like the Gar Saxon one. But right now is one of the most, or one of the strongest opening plays in the game right now. And there we go, guys. They are what I consider, at least right now in the game, the best 7 opening moves to make if you are the first player, and 7 that are most definitely Shatterpoint worthy. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think? Were you aware of all of these? Do you have any other great opening plays that you've managed to put together that we didn't cover off in here? If you do, head down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts and share them with the community. I want to give a big shout out to Loyalist Games, the sponsor of the channel. There'll be a discount code down in the bottom below in the description, where you can get up to £5 off your first order. I also want to give a big shout out to our Patreons. Thank you so much for sticking with me, especially over the last couple of weeks where the content hasn't been as abundant, but I'm back on the mend now. My voice is still a little bit dodgy, but yeah, back now where I can thankfully make videos without sounding like a whomper. We're going to leave it there, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, and you want to support the channel, you can also be part of our Patreon crew. From as little as £1 a month, you can support the channel. There'll be a link down in the description below. But even if you can't spare that money, guys, you can help this channel, help this video by just simply hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. It really does help. We are pushing our way on now. We've broke through the 5,000 sub mark, and we're now got 6,000 subs firmly in our sights. So if you would be able to hit that like button, share, subscribe, all the stuff that the algorithm loves you to do, it would be greatly appreciated. Guys, as always, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.